absolutely necessary to do the job that we are supposed to be doing. So I wanted to address that.
Dr. Harder, could you explain maybe those volumes of information that were added to the agenda packets that you mentioned? What was the purpose? I mean, can you pinpoint, was there a specific subcommittee that they were necessary for, or were they for the general CBOC?
They're all information that you know, is back up to the items that are on the agendas. That's the purpose of it. Yes. Okay. And what I would go on to further say is that you know, what I can't tolerate is I can't tolerate in this organization a delay in our projects. You know, we're on the point to make sure that Coronado opens on time, that Greenwood opens on time, that the summer projects get done, and that's going to have to be the higher priority for us in terms of that, as opposed to, you know, serving as staff to 10 committees. It is a situation that we have to look at, and we have to look at that in terms of the scope of this committee, in terms of its ability to really attempt to replicate what our staff does, which is to understand the underlying principles that go behind this. The CBOC is an oversight committee, not an operational committee. And my concern is that we're blurring the line there with the addition of all this work.
And I can definitely appreciate what you're saying, and I don't think anybody here is trying to slow down any projects or cause any problems or grief. I just recently took chairperson of the change order thing, and I did it with the intent. I started growing rock 42 years ago this month, and that's what I've done for 42 years. I've worked construction. I'm not one who believes that change orders are unnecessary. I believe it's the fault of the architect and the engineers, and I care for them to get that. And so my intent with the change order committee was try to bring to light the process for the change orders, to try to help clarify it so the public could see that there isn't all this backroom stuff going on. That we're not just, that you're not just awarding, okay, we got this Joe Blow contractor and he took it for $1, now it's $20 million, and that's because he contributed to this campaign, that campaign, and everything else. It was trying to be clear and open to the public now, and that's the intent of it. And the other intent, and I kind of feel, and bear in mind, we're all on the same team here, are we not? I mean, we have the school board who is in charge of educating our children. We have the CBOC who's in charge of you know, the bond oversight committee. We're supposed to act independent. And you're the superintendent, and nobody has more respect for you than I do. You do a great job. I could never do it. I'd be out there beating the hell out of those kids. And I greatly appreciate what you do. But I don't feel like there's a sense that we're on the same team here. I feel like this whole meeting has just been, okay, it's us against them. Okay, it's the CBOC against the school board. That's just my feeling. I don't know why, but it just is. But we're all on the same team. The committees, they're not there to cause problems. I think they're there to bring to light, to try to help, not to point fingers, not to slow projects down. We just want to help. We want it to be transparent. I have voted for all of the bond issues, but the last one I didn't vote for, and I couldn't bring myself to vote for it. And it's because I felt like there's just, you know, there's something amiss. I voted for 3 that was going to build a high school that still isn't built. And you know, I want the best for the kids. I've got 2 little kids. I've got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. Hopefully someday they'll go to that high school if we can get it built. but so it's, you know, it's with that in mind, and maybe, just maybe we need to get you some help. Maybe if what we're asking for is too much, maybe we need to get a summer intern or something to help us slog through this mess, so that we can get all this stuff brought to the surface, so that we all feel comfortable with what we're doing, so the public feels comfortable with what's going on. And then it's easier to go back and say, you know what, we need another $400 million. And this is why, because it's all right here. And not saying that's not the case, but the subcommittees, again, we're all just trying to help. That's all. We're not trying to cause problems for anybody.
Well, I believe the school board and the facilities department have resolved the change order issues for the moment. So I'm a.
So I don't have to have the meeting?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't assume that you do, but I would rather the CBOC focus on the things that only the CBOC can do.
But you know,
And
there's still a
I
lot of
want you to
questions.
be looking at why our costs are 3 times the state average, or why we have 1/3 of our, 29% of our construction budget going to non-construction costs. Wouldn't that be a more appropriate thing for you to be focused on right now?
But aren't those items addressed to the consultants through change orders? You sign a contract with the consultant, and then you give them a change order extending that contract. It's not just the contract. SGI, there was something that talked about how, you know, they start out with an initial contract, an initial authorization, purchase order, or whatever, and then their purchase order tends to go up if it's exceeded, and that's done by a change order. And that's part of what the change order does.
So that would be a very important thing for you to look at, yeah. We're dealing more in the moment about whether or not to approve change orders that are coming now.
It's not just the change orders, we're not dealing with just the change orders to the buildings. Part of that, I don't totally agree with how the buildings are put out there to bid. And it's, you know, you start out with a project and you phase it, and in the phasing process, change orders are added to the building. In the last meeting we had, we bid a job in Dominican Sisters. It's a cont there in Fremont. Our contract was $11,000. We're now at $1.6 million. Now, did we change order to death? No. It's just our initial contract was to install Cat 2 4-inch water lines. The entire project was still bidding, and we bid the entire project competitively.
Well, that's a change in scope.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that's what goes on with a lot of the contractors, it's a change in scope. Now, part of it, I think, stems to how they're initially offered, how the stuff comes out, how the bids are given, how the scopes are offered to start with. I think that's why the change orders scope up. But at the same time, there's still the architects, they're given change orders, the construction managers are given change orders. That's all information that, when it hits the press, and it comes out that SGI and the architects been paid 30% of the entire bond, I sit there in my house, my God, that's, you know, what's 30% of $1.6 billion? You know, that's a horrendous amount of money. And so, again, it's just trying to help. It's not trying to cause problems. I'm more than happy to stay home that one night. You know, I'm old, I can sit in my chair drinking cold beer. I don't particularly like to come down here to meet. And so if you want to do a change order committee, great. You know, I'll stay home and drink a beer.
It's not our
But I think
decision.
it's very important that the stuff is brought to light so the public understands that it's not just some dumb old contractor out there beating the district to death and retiring on his bulk pay, because that's not the case. Now, it might be the case with SGI, but it's not the case with the contractor and the subcontractor. That's what I'm trying to do. And if that doesn't work, that's fine.
Well, wouldn't some of the training that's suggested in this report help us to focus our efforts?
There's an order. Somebody else is. Don Gosney first, and then Orlando Smothers. Don Gosney
The
first.
superintendent referred to a very good document that I think can facilitate the type of change that is needed to make the CBOC as effective from its committee level as possible. The document here that talks about its purpose and its responsibilities. And if you look for the word resources, and you go to page 3 and 6, provide the committee with sufficient resources to publicize the committee's conclusions. Now, you can wordsmith this, and you could, you know, look at the intent of what each section means in terms of it. But what I would recommend, in very short order, is that the actual committees, and the chairman has gone through and said, what are the standing 5 committees that have been inherent and attached to the organization, to the CBOC from the beginning, and then the new ones. And I think this document that the superintendent referred to is a very good document in terms of defining the role of the CBOC, is to infuse those committees specifically into this document so that you have standing committees, and then you have committees that, at the election of the chair, that if she deems appropriate, to basically appropriate our responsibilities in a fiduciary capacity, that gets done. But I think if you bring a concern like the superintendent is, I think we should be able to vet this document and basically have it such that it is a template for us to operate on. It does say that these committees, such as change order, have the significance that they should. In terms of, that would be my recommendation in terms of avoiding misappropriating unnecessary staff time based on the committee trying to basically do its duty.
Thank you. I want to respectfully disagree with what Ms. Block was saying earlier about how, since the board is telling us that they've got the change orders under control, that there's no longer a need for the bond oversight committee to be looking at them. The charge of the bond oversight committee is to oversee the operation of the bond program, which includes the district itself, their operations and control over it, the board, which approves these change orders, and all of the vendors that are hired. So, I mean, it's going to sound a little bit disrespectful, but we're here to look over your shoulders. So don't tell us, trust us, because that's why we're in the situation we're in right now. As we are here to look over your shoulder to make sure that you're doing everything by the book and on the up and up. If you are, then our job is very easy. If not, it's not so easy for us. But please don't even suggest that everything is fine, because we don't know that yet, do we?